Welcome everybody, hope you enjoy this series. I've been having a lot of fun doing it. Mixed games make my heart warm and fuzzy. Now this next game we're going to talk about for a lot of people drives people crazy. I remember a guy actually had a tattoo that said ace 2 3 4 and then it had banana banana banana, like 3 bananas, because in Razz we call a banana a big card and that's a bad thing. So he had a tattoo because he's like, I'm so unlucky, look at me, I start with ace deuce 3 4 every time, comes banana banana banana. Hey, if you only had my luck. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. You also suck, but that's besides the point. Anyway, enough of that guy. The New Yorker or whatever he was, I don't know. I can't remember. Big biceps, though, he had. Ace 2 3 4 banana banana banana. I thought that was funny. All right, let's talk about the rules in Razz, okay? So Razz is, the hand rankings are different than poker, okay? So it's not about, flushes and straights and royal flush. Throw that all out. All that charts you've learned, not relevant to Razz, okay? All that matters in Razz is numbers. So an ace is a 1, essentially, right? A jack is like an 11, queen is like a 12, king is like a 13, okay? We want low numbers. We want the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the best hand you can get in Razz. 1, 2, ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, essentially, right? Now it plays just like 7-card stud. If you want to rule, if you want to understand how the rules work in 7-card stud, you can check out that video. But the only difference here is the bring in. The player who brings it in will be the highest card by suit, okay? The reason for that is the highest card by suit usually isn't going to play, so it adds a little bit of dead money into the hand. Whereas in regular stud, the opposite is true, where like the deuce brings it in because it's unlikely that a deuce is going to play. So now, as I said, ace 2 3 4 5 is the best hand. Pairs are not good, so you can't have like ace ace deuce deuce 3 and have a 3, right? Pairs are discarded, so you want to have 5 different cards. The lowest 5 different cards in the pot wins the pot. Okay, so if some guy has ace 2 3 5 7 and the other one has ace 2 3 4 6, which one wins? This guy, right? He's got 5 cards, 6 or lower, right? So it doesn't work like who's got the most low cards. It's all about the highest of the low 5, okay? So let's look at another goofy example like that. Let's say, for example, I have ace 2 3 4 10, right? Ace 2 3 4 10. The other guy has 5 6 7 8 9. Okay, my cards are lower than his, except his highest card, the 9, is lower than 10. Okay, so the 9 would win the pot. Now, in cases where both of you have the same card, it goes to the next lowest card. So let's say one player has ace 2 3 4 9, and the other player has ace 2 3 5 9. Well, you get rid of the 9s, and you have the 5 and the 4. The 4 wins. Okay, so it's 5 lowest cards, pretty straightforward. Okay, so it should be pretty self-explanatory that the cards you want in this game are low, right? So ace deuce 3 would be the best starting hand. However, you definitely want to be very cognizant of what's on the board, okay? So when you see cards out that you already have, that's really good for you, okay? So for example, let's say you did start with 4 5 6 and there's 2 5s and a 4 out. That's good for you, especially if those 2 players don't play and a guy with a deuce does, because the player with the deuce, those are, you don't want to see cards you need. Okay, you want to see cards that you have. So, for example, if I had ace deuce 3 and I see 4 4 5 5 5 out, I'm like, damn it. I still have a great hand, but my hand's gotten a little bit more dead because a lot of the cards that I actually need, the 4s and the 5s, are gone. So you want to be cognizant of board. You always want to pay attention to that. The main reason you really want to be paying attention to the board is a lot of times people sleep and they don't even notice. They're like, oh, that was your free money you didn't take. Because position changes every hand, you don't know, okay, I'm on the button, I'm next to the button. The button essentially, is represented by whoever's the bring-in, right? So if the guy on your left has the king, he brings it in, everyone folds to you, and then, you have a 3 up and you just have like king, queen in the hole and you're like, oh, I have garbage, I fold. That's your money. It's like 100% a steal. So Razz is really a game about stealing and re-stealing. So say, for example, you have a 6 up, okay? And behind you, the players behind you, there's a queen, a 9, and a 10, okay? You have a 6 up, but you have king, queen in the hole, which is garbage. You have a really bad hand. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have to represent a lot in this game. So because you have the lowest card, these guys all have an up card. They don't have a 3-card strong hand. So you just raise every time. And we talked about this in the stud video. The price you're getting laid is over 2 to 1 on these steals. So they're super important. Stealing and re-stealing is really what Razz is all about. Obviously, the kind of hands you want to play, typically, you could sort of, the strength of a hand is so determined upon the board, right? You could have 9 6 deuce. Is that a strong hand? Not really, no. But it is if you're looking at boards that are 9 10 queen queen king. Now you have an amazing hand. So it's all relative, right? So it's very difficult to define hand strength in Razz because it's so board dependent. As a general rule, obviously, anytime you have 3 wheel cards, wheel meaning any cards between ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, that's really, really good, right? Typically. But you want to be cognizant of the board. Sometimes you have an 8 up and 3, 4 in the hole, and you're up against, a guy with a 9, another one with a jack, and you're like, you're in primo position, right? There's no way that they can have a better 3-card hand than you in these kind of situations. So in those kind of spots, you generally want to, be pretty aggressive with it. However, that's not so true when you get down to like the bottom end range. So if you have, let's say, for example, a 5 up and the guy has a 6 up, you may have a better hand than him, but if he's going crazy, it's probably marginally so. And the one thing that I would avoid doing in Razz is overplaying hands in situations where you're like just going crazy, especially in a tournament. In a Razz tournament, if you are playing one, just because you have 3 good low cards, your opponent who's re-raising you probably has 3 good low cards, and you don't really have, 4th Street changes everything. Like, if on 4th Street you catch a king and he catches a low one, your like minuscule edge has gone from minuscule edge to like, oops, I'm screwed. The problem is you've made the pot so big, you can't even fold now, right? You basically have to go all the way to the river for the most part. So sure, when you have ace deuce 3, ace deuce 4, all these kind of great hands, you definitely want to like, it's not wrong to 3-bet. You should be 3-betting the majority of the time if somebody raises, especially because they may be stealing with some sort of like king in the hole or something like that. Because a lot of the time what you'll see is, let's say for example, there's a king queen behind, right? And I'm sitting here with the 3. And there's another guy here, David Oppenheim, very good Razz player. He's got a 4. He's going to raise with his 4, even though I got a 3, hoping that I got a king queen or something in the hole and I'm just going to fold, right? So now he's going to steal it. Doesn't mean he's got a good hand. He might have a 10 in the hole or a jack and just figure, hey, plenty, I'll fight him. Because this game, it's kind of an interesting dance because it's so much about representing and you have to represent, right? So, for example, let's say you started the hand with deuce 4, 5, okay? And your 4 is up, so he can see your 4. And your deuce 5 is hidden in the hole. He has a 3, okay? Now he catches a 10 and you catch a deuce, okay? So it looks like you got a really big low, but you don't because you paired the deuce. He doesn't know that, okay? He doesn't know you paired unless he's Phil Ivey or John Hennigan or Huckseed or Ted Forrest who just have x-ray vision and they can they just feel it. They just feel when you pair. It's like kind of a part of the skill, the human element of like being able to sense when someone paired based on how they looked at their cards. We won't get into that because it's like some super secret stuff. You got to pay for that. That's $19.95 per second of every, whatever. So anyway, because my board looks good, right? My board is 4 deuce. His board is 3-10. I'm in the lead. And oh, by the way, with Razz, the lead is always whoever has the lower looking board. So if my board is 3-7, his board is 3-9, I go first, okay? Until that switches. Now, if we both pair or something like that, whoever has the lower pair, they would be low. So they would go first. It's reversed from how you would have it instead, okay? So Razz is just like reversed a lot of stuff. Now, because the low always goes first, this isn't a game where you see a lot of raising past 4th Street. Now, there are certain situations where, it'll make sense to raise, and we'll cover a couple of those because why not, we got time. So imagine your opponent is showing 3-7-8 and you're showing deuce 4 jack. Well, he's low, right? So he could have an 8 low, which is a very, very powerful hand. He may have paired, he may be bluffing, he may have a lot of things. Let's say you have ace 3 in the hole. So your hand is ace 2, 3, 4 jack. His hand is 8, 7, 3. Well, if he has 2 low cards, he's got you in, relatively bad shape. He's got, an 8 and you got to draw to beat it. If he bets, though, in this situation against his entire range, this is a really good spot to raise a lot of time because if he doesn't have the 8, you're way in front with ace, deuce, 3, 4, jack. So let's take a look at these 2 hands, right? One hand you see is ace, deuce, 3, 7, queen. The other is ace, deuce, 7, jack, 10, okay? So the ace, deuce, 7, jack, 10, well, that's the better low hand as of now, right? Because jack low beats queen low. So if the hand ended right now, the jack wins. But if you look at the percentages, notice almost 75% favorite is the queen. And that's because of what they're drawing to. The jack has a really bad draw. So it's going to go from a jack and not improve that much. It's going to go to a 10. However, the queen, if the queen improves, the queen could shut the hand out. If the queen catches a 7 made or anything like that, he can end the hand on 6th Street and have the guy drawing completely dead. So one of the things you want to factor in when you're looking at Razz is not only the player's highest card that they can make their hand with, but the next card behind it. And if you have a really good draw that undercuts both of them, then a lot of times you can raise. So for example, a guy's got 10, 9, 6 showing, and you have 7, 5, ace deuce with a pair of 5s. right? Well, his best case scenario is he's got a 10. If he improves, best case scenario is a 9, right? You got 2 shots to improve upon that, and you're the favorite on that situation. So in those kind of situations, you want to throw in some raises. But overall, because in Razz, it's just so clear what's there, like what the best hand you can possibly have is, you don't see typically a lot of raising on 5th or 6th street. It's usually the low hand betting and the high guy behind who's drawing and calling. Let's take a look at this hand though and make a couple changes and see what that does to the percentages, okay? So if you take the ace, deuce, 7, jack, 10, right? And now we switch that 10 and make it an 8, the queen is still a 64% favorite. Now what if we change that 8 to a 6? So he's got ace, deuce, 6, 7, jack. Well, surely the jack has to be a favorite now, right? Nope, you're still 58%. Now change it to a 5, which is like super close. Still 54%. Change it to a 4. Change it to a 4, and you're still just a small favorite at this point, which is 52.56%. So as a general rule, when you have 2 hands that are not made, and when I say made, I'm talking like 8 or lower, the best 4-card draw on 5th street is usually the favorite, whereas on 6th street, it's the best made hand, okay? So that's where you want, if you have the best draw on 5, you want to become more aggressive. Then on 6, when that flips, and all of a sudden you both break off, the guy who was behind takes the lead because there's only 1 card left. So, having the jack low versus the queen low, makes you a small favorite in a lot of cases. Okay, and as a general rule, as I've mentioned, in pretty much all the limit formats is, often the pots are so big at the river, so what are we not going to do? We're not going to be the hero that makes these super crazy tight laydowns that, unless, again, you really know that the chances are you just can't win, okay? So for the most part, if you have made an 8 or a 9 or something like that, and you could beat what the guy potentially has if he paired or something, it's usually right to just pay it off, take your lumps, pay that man his money. But before I leave you, I want to talk about, because this game is all about stealing and representing, right? So we mentioned that situation before where maybe I have David Oppenheim with a 3, and I got the 4, and there's junk behind us. So he raises. Maybe I decide, I got 4, 6, 7. He might have a junk, stupid card in the hole, like a jack. So I 3-bet him. Hammer it to him, right? Well, what should he do if he has, 3, 4, jack? Well, I've re-raised him with a 4, so I obviously got the best hand, right? So you think he should fold? No. That's the cool thing about Razz is that unlike stud, by 4th street you can represent so much is about representing that he doesn't even need to have a hand. If he catches 2 good low cards on 4th street and 5th street, it doesn't even matter what he has in the hole. If I catch a queen and a jack, he just wins the pot. Often he'll win it on 4th street. Typically, if I catch bad twice, he catches good twice. He wins it on 5th street. And how does he win it? By calling 1 small additional raise. So if you're playing, 400, 800, limit, he makes it 4, you make it 8. It's 400 to win all that juicy money right there just to see a 4th card. You call that bet, see how it develops. You catch another brick, you get out the way. But it's all a game about stealing and re-stealing and all that kind of stuff, and I really enjoy it. And you'll notice that typically Razz tournaments, great players like Razz. And it's not, I wouldn't say it's my best game, for sure. Probably one of my weaker games in the mix, and I don't really feel like I have a weak game. But I just, in comparison to some of these geniuses like Ted Forrest and Huck Seed and John Hennigan and Ray DeCardani, like they just have a way of like mixing it up and just sometimes like I don't know, man, they're just good, right? So it's a fun game to mess around with because again, a lot of it is representing based on cooperation from the board. Sometimes you have a really strong hand that turns into junk, catch a king or a queen, and the guy just paired twice, he's got 2 paired, you got him way crushed, but you can't know that because you don't know his whole cards. So anyway, it's a little bit about Razz. Give this one a shot. It shouldn't be too hard for you guys to learn just in practice. It's just counting numbers. You don't have to worry about straights and flushes. Just go for low cards. As a typical rule, you want to play, again, there's no typical rules in Razz, but 3 cards 7 or lower is usually going to be playable in almost any situation. Typically a 3-card 8 is more than good. And obviously the more short-handed you are, the more you need to, widen your ranges and stuff. All right, well, hope you guys enjoyed the Razz one. I know it's kind of all over the place with that one, but that's kind of the way Razz is. It's a crazy kind of game. All right, see ya.